when I talk to folks, the first thing that I say to them is that I'm a grandson of the Depression. My grandparents grew up, literally, during the Depression. They were married at a very young age, but they were also going through the Dust Bowl down there in Oklahoma. I don't know how much dust and wind we deal with up here, or what you were dealing with in the 30s, but it was bad. And so, because of that, they had to cover their food up, or they'd get dust in it. They would sleep at night with wet wash rags on their face, and would wake up with red mud, and they had nothing, literally. They had no money to buy bullets to shoot rabbits. That was the only meat that you could get. So they used slingshots and traps. So guess what? When they got through that, and some of you may have been around during the Depression, or grandparents or parents that did, and guess what? It affected the rest of their lives. And that has trickled on down to me and to my daughter and the rest of my children. I'll give you a few examples. Because my grandparents went through that, they kept everything they ever had after that. My grandma kept every bread sack, every butter tub, every Cool Whip bowl she ever purchased. You couldn't throw that away. That was a sin. So we ate desserts out of the Cool Whip bowls. She put roasting ears into the bread sacks and put those into the freezer. And you'd open up her stand-up freezer and there'd be 400 butter tubs in there filled with sweet corn that she had cut off. You kept everything because you went through a period where you had nothing. Literally. You had zip. Their first house was a converted chicken coop. That's how their marriage got started. So you kept everything. And if one of those butter tubs cracked when you washed it, you had a quiet moment of silence for the passing of that butter tub. So he has farmed a little bit of everything. And so I like to watch all the agriculture around here to see how things are similar and how they're different. There's one thing that I've noticed that I'm a little disappointed. I haven't seen a stuck combine up here yet. Anybody ever stuck a combine? I see two hands. Some of us are fibbers. We have stuck combines more folks probably than anybody else. I don't know what it is, but once the wheat gets ready, we don't care if the ground is wet or not. We're going to get in the field and get that weed out of there. We got one stuck so bad, it was all the way down. We had to get a bulldozer out just to pull the header off. It was flat to the ground. The tire was gone. It was down in the ground. There's probably 4 or 5 bales swimming around under the earth's crust that we try to get under there to get that thing out. For where I come from, we have an oaky draw. You can already hear it. It's coming out, right? Back home, we don't speak proper like you folks do. Somebody said we had a good dinner tonight. Dinner? It was always supper where I grew up. I still can't say that. We had a nice dinner. That was at lunchtime, right? Words we use, I don't understand to this day. I don't hear it much up here, but back home, believe it or not, I heard yonder quite a bit. My dad he uses it. I wish he was here so I could use him as a visual aid and so you could hear him talk. He's the only guy I know who can make dog into 2 syllables. I don't know how he does it, but he can make dog into 2 syllables. Yonder. He uses yonder a lot. Go yonder, get in the field, go work that up, and then go across, and work up the 40 over there, and then go yonder. And I got to thinking about that word yonder. Does anybody use the word yonder here at all? Some of us do, okay? You ever thought about that word yonder? Yonder is a word that describes a location that you will never arrive at. You will never never get to yonder. Because that place that you designated as yonder, when you get there, yonder is somewhere else. I don't know why, but we love that word. Well, we were also raised not to talk trashy about folks. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Yeah, some of you are finishing it for me. But there are just sometimes you gotta say something. Oh, it just drives you crazy. Something that somebody's done, and oh, but Mama always taught me not to say anything bad. So we came up with this great little phrase that absolves us of all guilt. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Some of you use that. I use it with my students all the time. I'm blessing their hearts all the time. But it is, isn't it? That's where it came from. So you can talk trashy all you want, but if you put that at the end, you've got it right with the Lord, apparently. Oh, you know him. He's lazy. He still hadn't put his weed in. His combine's broken down. He's got parts off. He hasn't mowed his front yard since 1983. He's mean to his wife. He's terrible to his kids. His truck stinks. Bless his heart. And then everything's okay. And you always put that little pause in there too. You say all this trashy stuff and then you pause to reflect. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. And we're okay. We are completely absolved. I don't know where that came from, but we use that quite a bit. You know, I usually try to separate the real country folk from the wannabes. And there's one test. How many of you are connoisseurs of wilted lettuce? We got a lot of wannabes out here. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Okay, some of us don't. My wife didn't. She was raised in Oklahoma. Freaked her out. She didn't eat it for over 10 years. Wilted lettuce. How many of you have a garden? You grow lettuce in your garden? You get the nice, soft lettuce leaves. You put them in a bowl. You get some cornbread and you crumble that up in there. You put some onions and radishes if you want radishes. And you fry up some bacon. You crumble up the bacon and your dressing is the hot bacon grease on the lettuce. Some of you are looking at me like you don't believe me. That is good stuff. That is good stuff. My wife, we were dating. And old Mom came in and I said, you better sit back a minute because you're going to get popped with bacon grease. What is going on? She pours it in everybody's bowls and my wife's eyes were huge. What is going on? She'd never heard of that before in her life. That separates the country and the wannabes. Now that's the test that I use. There's another test, but I don't pass this one. And I haven't heard of anybody up here that eats it. But back home, again, this ties back to the Depression. When folks didn't have anything, they ate a lot of poke. Poke salad? Any connoisseurs of the poke salad? Oh, well, we have a few more of those in the wilted lettuce. That stuff will kill you. It will kill you. Why is it that we do that? You go out there and you eat that raw, you're dead. Bye, see ya. I met a lady, she said, oh my goodness, I knew someone that almost killed her husband because she put some of that in his salad. You boil that. Not once, but twice. You used everything. I didn't mention the Ziploc bags. I guess I better back up and mention that. My grandmother would wash Ziploc bags and reuse them. She put them in her dishwasher. Bless her heart. I get the sandwich out of there and I chunk the bag. One memory that immediately comes to mind, I was in college and a snowstorm came. Now in Oklahoma, you got to understand something. We don't get the snow like you do up here. in this area. If we get a dusting of snow on the ground, we lose our minds. We think it's the first sign of the apocalypse. We think the Lord's coming back. We're going to the grocery store and we're getting all the bread and eggs and cheese that we can get with a dusting of snow. We lose it. Well, this snow was up to our knees. So you can imagine the chaos that was going on back where I grew up. Well, the cattle went nuts in the middle of the night. And they ran through the hot wire fence. And they were gone. So with it snowing in the moonlight, we're trying to put calves back up. And I don't know what my granddad would have done because he didn't grow up with this. Just to show you how farming had changed. So I'm trudging through the snow. And I'm walking through the snow trying to figure out how we're going to get the calf back in so we can go inside, start a fire, and get away from this chaos. Because we all know the end's coming. Snow and electricity don't mix. They just don't. It's hard to see a little wire in the middle of the night walking through snow. So I was pinned to the wire on this side, snow behind, so I couldn't get off the wire. So I looked like one of those Raggedy Ann dolls that kids play with. I just... The point behind all of this is that our culture, who we are, where we've come from, our mentality, the words that we say, the way we view the land, our religion, all of it combines together to create who we are, what we are, and what we're passing on to the next group of folks. What is going to be passed on to them? That is important. And I leave you with that thought. And I, again, want to thank you for your invitation. Appreciate your attention. I appreciate my meal for myself and my daughter and the hospitality that you've given us this evening. And bless your heart.